How's it going, everybody? Austin here with Killshaw's Geek Garage, or some of y'all know me whenever I'm gaming or live streaming as Killshaw. March of Dimes is hosting its first ever live stream event for Prematurity Awareness Month. We would love for you to be a part of this inaugural event. Throughout November, Prematurity Awareness Month, we raise awareness of the infant health crisis of preterm birth and are asking for life-saving donations in honor of World Prematurity Day on November 17th. Now, if you want to help out, I am going to leave a link right down below this video. I will also be streaming Thursdays through Saturdays, 8:30 to early in the morning, to where y'all can come, stop by, say hey, hang out for a little bit. And if you want to ask questions about my experiences with March of Dimes, I am more than welcome to share my story with y'all. So, appreciate you stopping on in, watching the video, and I'll catch y'all on the next video. What's going on, YouTube? Austin back with Killshaw's Geek Garage again, and I know it's been a while. Been dealing with some family stuff, finally getting back into it, doing live stream gaming as well. But today, we're going to be doing some basic maintenance on my newest vehicle in my fleet. It is my GL 450. We're going to be doing a oil change today and replacing the cabin filters, and we're also going to check the air filters. So I'm going to give you all a rundown how to quickly do this stuff, make it quick, easy, and simple. Alrighty, let's get to it. So first, I do highly recommend getting either a jack or jack stands, or if you have these drive-on ramps to do your oil change, I do recommend using these. Makes it a lot easier and safer than jack and jack stands, just in case something does happen, and you know, this kind of saves you from a jack or jack stand giving out on you. So what we're going to do, we're going to pop the hood. So you go inside the vehicle, and right here underneath the dashboard, you're going to see this red handle. This is to pop your hood. Pull that and you hear the click, and boom, pops right open. Come back over here, and you're going to have a little handle right there above the star. Now, depending on the vehicle, it could be in a different spot. It could pop out of the grill, but right here, it's here. You just pull up on it. It should release, and it lifts up like this. Now, you can either put the hood up like this, like a normal car, or you can put it up into the ready position. Most Mercedes-Benz, all Mercedes-Benz have this to where you can put the hood up, straight up and down like that, to give you more room to work on the engine bay. So now, with the hood popped open, we're going to be replacing the cabin filters. Now these, compared to a lot of the other models, are super easy to access. So you have your main cabin filters right here, and then you have what's called a dust filter that goes in front of them. So your cabin and dust filters lie underneath here. You have this panel, it pops up like this, put it right off to the side here, and then you're gonna have this air box. So this is your clean air where it's coming in and giving you fresh air into your car. You're gonna have a few clips, one right here that you just pop up, here, and I believe that is it, looks to be. So let's go ahead and pop those, 2 and 3, and this pops loose. You just pull it up, set it off to the side, and boom, there it is, your dust filter. Super simple. Dust filter pops right off. Obviously you can tell this one is dirty. It has been a year, so I am going to change it out. Then you also have your cabin filters in there. Now, they don't look dirty, but they do build up a smell over time, and I highly recommend replacing them every 1 to 2 years. And you can obviously, it's a 2-piece set. So you're gonna reach in, grab, and fortunately it's kind of a smash fest trying to get this sucker out. And you can see it has the little airflow dots because air is coming in that way. You're gonna remove the first one, comes right out, and then you're going to remove the second one, and that slides right out like that. And now Boom. Here is a side-by-side comparison of the dust filters. You can obviously see this one is filled up with dirt and debris. The other side, obviously, nothing came through, no contaminants. So this one did its job. And nice, clean one right here, ready to go in. All right, so now we're ready to go back in with it. So the nice thing about these filters is they have arrows, and most cabin filters should have an arrow pointing on which direction the airflow is going. So that's the airflow coming into your vehicle. So obviously the airflow is going to be coming in this direction and then going down. So got to have this arrow pointing down here. So first, slot it in. We're gonna slide it all the way over. All right, it's in there. Now this is the tough part. This kind of becomes a little bit of crunch time trying to get this other one in here. So, since the other one's already in, it makes it a little bit of a doozy, but you can squeeze it in and boom, they are both in there. Good to go. And then we're gonna pop in the cabin filter where you see it just has little tiny brackets all the way around. And you just slot it in, push it down like that, push it down like that, and there you go, good to go. Now, reinstalling. Obviously, you have two little slots on the bottom of this, and they're down there as well. So, easy fit, easy to figure out for yourself. Nothing crazy needed to do here. Slot it in and it fits perfectly. Your clip should snug right up on there. Snug and snug. Done. You put your cover back on up here. You should have three little brackets that fit in right there. They just slot into place. You fold this down and this kind of tucks in right here along this weather stripping. You might need to finagle it a little bit, but it does slot right down in there on that weather stripping, and it is installed. Super quick, super easy cabin filter replacement on this vehicle. Okay, well now time for the oil change. So you are going to need a few basic tools for this, but then also a couple of specialty tools. If you don't have the specialized oil filter cap socket for the Mercedes-Benz that fits on there, you have to use an oil filter wrench. It's not a standard can filter. I don't recommend, I would highly recommend using this tool just because you don't want to crack or damage this plastic housing, because obviously if it cracks, you will have to go buy a new one, and then you can't drive the vehicle because it's going to be puking oil out through here. So with this one, it uses an 11/16 socket. I'm going to use it on this. Obviously, don't over torque it. At most, whenever this is tightened down, you should do it as tight as you can by hand. Do not over torque. It will break the plastic threading on it. You are going to need an 8mm socket for the underneath panels of this vehicle, which you do have quite a few. So 8mm socket. You're going to use that to take that off. And then, depending on your vehicle or Benz, it's going to be a 15 or a 13mm socket for the oil change button down below. Oh, oil change button, but the drain plug. Now, before we do start draining the oil, I highly recommend popping the cap and letting it vent. It's going to help the oil drain a lot better. And also it's going to help drain the oil filter housing here, so you don't have a lot of oil build up whenever you pop that off, and it's going to drip all over the front of your engine. And that's the last thing you really want to do, because it's going to cause a burning, smoking, fun feeling, Alright, so whenever you do buy an oil filter, all oil filters that you buy from Mercedes, or they should come with the filter and an O-ring gasket. Oh, an O-ring gasket here for the housing. You need to replace the O-ring gasket on this housing every time, because it can cause a leak, because it wears down and it gets kind of worn out from the heat and wear and tear. Especially because Mercedes, you change the oil usually once a year or every 10,000 miles. So some of the seals, they just can't hold up that long, and I highly recommend replacing it. I have seen these leak before from people not replacing it and pulling off this filter housing and then putting it back on, then they start leaking. So before you can get to that housing, you are going to need to take off this air pipe. It just pops off, but be kind of careful with it. This is a felt piece right here. This can come apart and break, and you would have to replace that. Now, usually whenever it's newer, it's pretty easy to take off and it's not as fragile, but with the mileage on this vehicle and the age, this could be a little fragile and it could possibly break, so we're going to be as gentle as we can with it. Alright, so now that we've loosened everything up, the oil filter just pops out like this. Now, this type of oil filter is called a canister style oil filter. It is not a regular oil can. It's not a can style. It is a canister style. It is a paper filter that you have to take off this housing, which is not replaceable. But if it's damaged, you can replace it, but it doesn't come with an oil filter. So you got your oil filter here, and then you got the O-ring that we need to replace on it. So, as you can tell, they used a different brand. Normally it is a black gasket that comes with it. This one's quite a bit thicker than what it should be standard, which obviously didn't cause any issues, but it could. And then you got the standard filter right here. So let's go ahead, replace that, and we're not going to tighten it down all the way just yet. We're going to drain the oil out of the bottom first, so that all that ventilation and everything can help the oil drain completely out of the system. So here we go. We have popped off the old filter. It just pops off, it clips in there, so it's nothing difficult to do. So we've taken off the old O-ring. We're going to put the new O-ring on there, and if you don't want to get your hands dirty, use gloves. I highly recommend that. Let me set down this real quick, and we're going to replace this O-ring on this filter housing. So fits right in there, nice and snug. Lube it up with a little bit of that used oil so it goes on there pretty smoothly, doesn't get snagged, doesn't roll. And then the filter just pops on, you hear the click, good to go. And we're just going to set it back in there for now. We're not going to tighten it down just yet. We're going to leave it right there. And we're going to go and take off the panels on the bottom and drain the oil. Alright, so we're going to get underneath here. So the panel that you only need to take off is this middle one right here. The front one you don't have to worry about. And the rear one you only need to take off if you're working on the transmission. So we have 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there, and we should have 2 more in the, actually 2 more right there and 2 more. So 8 bolts in total that you have to take off. Please keep them safe, don't lose them, because this panel right here is good for the aerodynamics of the vehicle to help with fuel efficiency, mainly because it's a bigger vehicle.
Alright, so whenever you drop the panel, you do have, it is a 13mm socket that you use on the oil drain plug. Right there. So you're going to go on ahead and just put it on there. Get your oil pan in place, or oil drain pan in place, and then we're going to drain out the oil. And then we're going to plug it back up. Don't over tighten it whenever you snug it back down. You do not want to strip out the pan. These pans, if you strip it out, you have to replace the whole pan, which means dropping out. Luckily, these aren't too bad, but you do have to drop this out and get it replaced with an OEM pan. There may be some aftermarket parts, but you sometimes do not fit properly. So do be careful tightening down the drain plug. There is also a brass or a copper washer that you do need to replace with this drain plug so that it does not cause a leak. All right, let's go on ahead and drain the vehicle and get new oil back into it. Okay, now that everything is put back together, we're going to go on ahead, tighten down or back down our oil filter. Remember, do not over tighten it. This is a plastic housing. Now, rule of thumb usually with tightening oil filters or any kind of housings like this, it is hand tight only. You can snug it a little bit, but do not over tighten it. I do not recommend it. It could break the next time you do an oil change, or it could break this time while doing an oil change. All right, so to find out how much oil your Mercedes or whatever vehicle you're actually working on takes. So on a Mercedes, it states pretty much go to the owner's manual. It has a little book there. You go to the owner's manual. In the back, it's going to tell you the capacities and specifications you need for any kind of fluid in this vehicle. Transmission, coolant, oil, differential, whatever you need, it should be there. And the spec oil, meaning what type of oil, what grade, 5W40, 5W30. In particular, Mercedes-Benz's normally take 5W40 European full synthetic. They do not recommend any other oil. In the diesels, they take 530 European spec diesel oil. So we're going to put 9 quarts of 5W40. If you do not have an owner's manual for your vehicle, look it up on Amsoil.com. I will post a link below. Check it out. They have the grades of oil you can use that are compatible with your vehicle, and how much the capacity is on your vehicle for oil, transmission, differential, brake fluid, anything and everything you really need fluid-wise. It is all there on that website. So we're going to go ahead, put 9 quarts of oil into this engine. We're going to start it up, run it for a little bit, check for any leaks, and if there's no leaks, we'll be ready to rock and roll back on the road, and we're going to reset the oil light. All right, now that we're done pouring in the 9 quarts of oil for this particular vehicle, tightening up the oil filter, putting everything back, we're going to get inside, sit down right in here, and hit start up the engine. Let it run. All right, and we're going to check for any leaks or anything like that. Any kind of smoke, anything coming out from any of that stuff down in there. No oil leaks, nothing that we can see dripping on the ground or anything. So other than that, we are good. We're going to test drive it a little bit, check for leaks again, and if there is nothing wrong with it, we're going to go ahead and then check the air filters. All right, so now we're going to check our air filters on this thing. So since it is the twin turbo V8, you are going to have 2 different air filters. Most V8s and some of the older V6s have 2 filters, 1 on each side. For this particular engine model, you're going to have a cover which is missing. This one right here, you're going to pop off. This one right here, it pops off, just held on by little clips. And then this middle cover right here is held on by some clips. And you're going to go on ahead and pop this one off as well. And this should come right up, and it's going to reveal your air box right here. All right, so to get this particular air filters off, you are going to have to remove the intake tubes and your intercooler pipe tubing. For that, you're going to need a little flathead screwdriver. Remove that, pull the pipe back. These boxes will pop up, and they're going to have little Torx head bits right down here all around the box. You're going to have little Torx head bits kind of holding it together, and you'll be able to check the air filter that way. Now, obviously, you can always be cheap and cheesy and check your air filter. Let me get this tube off and check it like this, which you can tell that one's pretty dirty. You can already tell by the fins right there that it's already getting dirty, dusty, plus there's already some dust and dirt buildup. Fortunately, Houston, we got a lot of construction work in. Well, dirt's pretty common, so these will definitely going to be replaced. But if you want to check them yourselves and taking off the boxes, you will have to remove the piping and pull the box off. But don't forget, you do have your mass airflow sensors back here, so you will need to unplug these so you do not damage them whenever you're checking your air filter. All right, everybody. So we're going to go on ahead and reset our oil change light on this vehicle. But depending on the Benz model, it is going to be different. This particular model, you're going to have to hold down the call and the hang up button at the same time, and then press, after pressing and holding down those two, you press and hold down the OK button for a few seconds, and then it's going to give you a prompt on the screen. Also, make sure you are in the mileage or the odometer screen. So you're going to hit the stop-start button if you have the keyless go. If not, turn the key just to the first position, not the second position. So hit the button once. It's going to only prompt you for the airbag light, and then the odometer is going to come up. You hold both the call and hang up button at the same time, then the OK button, and it's going to prompt you with this screen right here. Let me camera around. Boom, right there. So now you can go through, and what you're going to go down to is Assist Plus. So we did a full service on the vehicle today. Go all the way down to confirm full service. Yes, it was carried out. Confirm. All right, it should be reset now. So we're going to go ahead and turn off the vehicle. All right, turn it back on. And how to check to see if it's been reset. So you're going to go over to your service setting in the dashboard. Go down to Assist Plus, and there you go. Next service is in 365 days. Alrighty, everybody. Well, other than that, man, that's pretty much the gist of how to do an oil change on a Benz. There is some specific tools that you will need, and if you do not feel comfortable doing this, I highly recommend taking it to a shop that does have the right tools and the right equipment to do this job properly, because breaking stuff on your Benz does get expensive real quick. So if you like this video, want to see more content like this, please leave a like, follow, subscribe. If you like any kind of gaming, I do live stream from Thursdays through Saturdays. I am going to try to do more daytime streams on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. But if not, catch me on the nighttime streams Thursdays through Saturdays. So other than that, I'm going to leave y'all with this right here, this beautiful beast, and we're going to get on out. Y'all have a good day.